Okay, I'm here with Norman Cook, aka FATBOY SLIM. Thanks for joining us. So, what's it like being back in New Zealand again?
Yeah, it's good because I did try and come back last year and the year before, but wasn't allowed in. And then last year they just the restrictions, and I couldn't put my crew in a hotel on their own for 2 weeks, and it wasn't workable. So no, really good to be back because we'd sort of established a pattern of going to Australia 1 year and New Zealand 1 year, and it sort of means come here every 2 years, and it's great. It feels enough that it's kind of. So this year we're doing both. Right, because it's been too long and I need to come back and see you all again. There's itches that need scratching.
yeah, definitely. Although you've been gigging for a while now since everybody opened up and DJs could go on tour, this is the first summer that New Zealand have had internationals and big festivals over.
It's always fun to play in front of a New Zealand crowd. I haven't been here for 4 years, so there's a feeling of expectation. We played on Friday night in Christchurch, and it's just great. And I mean, it's weird because New Zealand's so far away from England, but we're just such an affinity.
Yeah.
It's that we just, got the same. So much of the culture is exactly the same, and in terms of music and sense of humour and raving and communication, I think it's a very easy crowd for me. It feels like a home crowd, which is weird because it's as far away from home as I can be. But, and I've come here enough recently to feel that people know me, because it's not like going over and then people going, what's it going to be like? It's like people know how it works.
One thing I'm interested about is that obviously you've done a lot of gigs in your time, and there's been some like Woodstocks and there's been some big beach boutiques. Does anything surprise you anymore when it comes to gigging?
Yeah, constantly. Well, today, for instance, in the space of the last 36 hours, I wasn't playing in Auckland. I wasn't even going to come up to Auckland, so we didn't think that we could get up here, and we were going to drive all the way from South Island. And so sort of tea time yesterday, I had no idea where we were going. Or then we got the word that this was on, that it's moved. So, but then I thought I was playing indoor. No, I mean there's always something. I mean, I suppose the gigs you don't remember are the ones where nothing of note happens. But no, there's so much that can happen. I mean, it's not like the old days where sort of pre-internet you would go places and you would have no idea. They'd have no idea.
Yeah.
I'd go places and they'd never been to a sort of a DJ show before, and they'd be upset that there wasn't a drum kit and amplifiers but because of the internet, everyone knows what my show looks like, so they know what to expect, and so there's not so much of a feeling that you're going in I remember going to places in Africa and like scratching on the turntables and them just freaking out. Just going, what the fuck is this? And then me thinking that's how freaked out I was when I first saw Grandmaster Flash. So you don't have that sort of pioneering spirit that you're bringing something that they don't know about. But it does make it a lot easier.
Mental health is a big thing that we focus on at Redlining, because I feel a lot of people's mental health has been forgotten about by the powers that be, and I don't want to get political. Now, I did see on YouTube that in Brighton you were teaching people who suffer from mental health, like DJing lessons. So I just want to know how important music is for people's mental health.
For some people, it can be really, really important. I mean, it's not a magic cure for anything, but some people, music, not just mental health, with just your emotions. Music can unlock emotions, and they can communicate to people who have kind of shutting off the world. And there was a friend of mine who was running a program, and she just said, would you come down? And I was just amazed at the way it can transform people who are very anxious, lose themselves in the music. But it's one thing to listen to music, but when you're actually manipulating and messing around, and it makes me feel really good because I've been doing it long enough now that I kind of can see how I can unlock things in people. And I'm not really, I'm not curing anyone. It's not even real therapy, but it's nice to see people who feel the world isn't coming in right, to find a different route to it. And also, it just reminds me the innocent joy of messing around with music. Because obviously it's my job, I do it every day. Yeah. But when I have to explain to somebody else, well, you do that with that thing, they could do it, and then sometimes they do things, I'll go, wow, that's fun. So it's just a nice thing to do, and and I've had my own mental health issues in the past, and so I'm aware of how important it is to keep a check on your mental health, and and talk about things. So it's something I'm quite happy to do. So for some people it works better than others, and some of them want to go on and be DJs, and some of them just go, actually that was a really lovely couple of hours. Take me out. Well, it is. It's kind of one of the things about mental health is when you just ruminate and something's just going round and round. Stupid idea that you can't get out of your head. Just to unlock that and free yourself and let your or an anxiety that's kind of crushing you. It's nice to be able to release, and sometimes it's communing through music by putting large amounts of people. Something very, very joyous happens there, but sometimes it's just, you know, people having to go on the decks and who like music and just feeling that they're involved in it.
And I think also from, you know, going back to the pandemic and, you know, the fact that we couldn't go out and stuff, the lockdown mixes were something that everybody really enjoyed and felt, you know, it was an opportunity for you to still feel connected to your fan base.
Exactly there, and that was for my mental health. I was hunkering down thinking, Christ, because my whole job is doing this and my whole life is doing this, and when it was snatched away, and it's like under no illusions that I would be one of the last people to be back, you know, whether it was months or years. But, you know, doing what we do is going to be the last thing, so I was kind of thinking, right, okay, steel yourself here, you know, find a thing. And there's that communication through music, and I just thought, well, if I'm having these tunes, instead of playing them out to other people and think, I'll just make a mix once a week, and it gave me a focus, but it kind of connected people around the world, and it made us all think, well, we're all in the same boat. Even we're only in our own little private Idaho, but we can connect them up. And I don't know, for me, it felt, rather than doing a live stream or something like that, I just thought if I just do a mix and just to talk to people, and then I would spend the next day just reading all that, and I would have little conversations with people. They'd ask me about certain tracks, and it felt like some of that communication was still existing.
Did you have an idea of, because some weeks you themed them, didn't you? So you did sort of like disco remixes and...
After a while I started having themes but before, I mean, it's basically, my enjoyment of music involves sharing it with other people. If I hear a record, it's a bit like a tree falling in a forest. If I hear a record, I think it's really good and I don't play it to anybody else, it's not really good. In my head, I have to share it with other people. They have to go, fucking hell, this is good, you know, and start dancing to it. So it was a bit like that. I was still getting sent music, and it was really weird because it was like there was tunes which were sort of hits in my head, but it's like, is it a club hit if it's never been danced to? And at one point, I was making a tune with Dan Eats Everything, and we were talking about it, and halfway through it, we were like, well, you know, you put this bit in for the mix-in section for the DJ, and then one of us said to the other, you do realise this won't be played in a club. Should we not put that bit in, because this will just get played on people's, you know, it won't. And then we're like, hold on, we're making club records and there's no nightclubs. And that was just one of the many crazy moments in lockdown where you're just questioning exactly what you were doing.
I've noticed you take your shoes off.
Yeah.
So you're definitely taking your shoes off for when you perform today?
That's my way of getting into character. Basically, Norman Cook is turned 60 this year. Wow. And he's a responsible father of two and a loving, caring person. FATBOY SLIM is got a mental age of about 17 and is an irresponsible party animal. So he belongs on stage and Norman belongs off stage. So when I take the shoes off and put the Hawaiian shirt on, I know it demarcates that now I can forget. Now I forget I have children, I forget, you know. So it's just a way of getting his character, but yeah.
For those who don't know, you own a cafe in Brighton.
Yeah.
Just talk about your relationship with the hospitality industry.
Well, at one point I owned or co-owned 5 restaurants, 2 in New York, 1 in LA, and 2 in Brighton. But that's, my empire shrunk down just to my cafe now. And so I run a cafe, and it was weird because in the midst of everything shutting down in my DJing career, we also had to shut the cafe. And that was quite hard, and it's like, okay, what do we do? You know, how do we, furlough? Do we furlough people? How much? And we didn't know what was going on, but I all of a sudden was thrown into what we were going to do. And then when we opened, we were very lucky because we were an outdoor cafe and we've got a little serving hatch. We could open as takeaway. But at that point, for months and months, the only thing you were allowed to do was go for a walk.
Yeah.
And we were like the coffee at the end of that walk. So we were just like the last bit of community that was left, which is people sitting 1.2 meters away from each other having a coffee. and that felt like the lifeline. But at one point we lost. One of our staff went down with COVID, so we had to quarantine. So we lost 2/3 of our staff in one day. So it's like, what do we do? Do we shut the cafe, or do we do all hands on deck and try and stay open? And I said, I think it'd feel better to muddle through. I'll muck in. There's people who used to work for us who not doing anything. We get them back. And so I started working there. I ended up working there for 7 months. Well, I had nothing else to do. Again, it was good for my mental health to be talking to people through this little hole.
Yeah, reconnecting with people, just because that's what we all missed, right? Just talking to people, unless it was in front of a screen, right?
Yes, it's that was a lifeline for me. But also, it got me in those 7 months. I learned a huge amount about the actual day-to-day running of a cafe, rather than just being the owner who swans in every now and again. Everybody all right? I started at the bottom of the food chain. They called me the trainee for the first month.
Oh, so how's the cafe doing now? Is it all good?
Doing great. We did really well. It sounds glib to say it. We did really well because we could stay open when everybody else was shut. We were quite adaptable, but also during those two summers, people got more used to using, because we're not a destination place. It's just the locals, use the park and they use us. And so many people just got more used to, taking their kids to the play park there. So we had a bumper summer because no one had anywhere else to go. And for a while, for about 6 weeks, we were allowed to serve alcohol and the pubs were shut.
Oh wow, okay.
And the sun was out, and it was just like, well, bring them in. So it's been good for the thing, and it like I say, it's been great for me to actually learn the business that before it was kind of like a vanity project, and now I'm actually fully involved in it.
Do you find people's attitudes to going out, whether it be coming into your cafe or actually coming to some of your gigs, do you find they've changed since the pandemic?
I think they have. I think some people are a little bit reticent to be out in large crowds, and some people just throw themselves, dive head first into it, depending on how your character is and how. But when we first open up, some people are like, I'm not sure if I feel comfortable being in a room full of people. And then other people just literally dive straight in and give me lots of people. I want to hug them. And the first we did that government pilot gig, which is right when nobody had been out for ages. They put us all in with men in white coats and to see what happened. They had trial events. They had like the cup final. They let people in to watch it. They did a horse racing event, and they did an outdoor gig, and they did an indoor rave. Right. So we were like they said, you do a test before you go in, and we'll test you in 3 days' time. And but when you get in, you can take your masks off and you can do anything you want. So, but it was like everybody just wanted to get that, intimacy in. And so some people did that, and I think some people are still, it might never be the same for them. But I think most people now are kind of embracing. They're human beings. We like to commune, we like to be together, and we like to do things like this. And not to hell with the consequences, but you don't live in fear quite so much.
Well, one thing I would say, after being out there, they're a banging crowd, so they are up for it.
Excellent. Well, let's celebrate us all being together.
Absolutely.
Once again, and that's a powerful thing.